All right. So in growing your business, you got to have the money to do that. And it's important to manage your cash flow and all that fun stuff. And so just to talk through how that all works and potential options, I'm excited to bring on someone who we were just having an interesting conversation even before we hit the record button. So we got Don Henig, who's one of the co-founders of AccrueMe. So Don, thank you for coming on Maximizing E-commerce.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm excited about this. We're going to have some fun.
Yeah. So before we even get into it, I want to get into a couple stories we were just talking about. So there's someone kind of famous in the personal development space that you actually personally hired once upon a time. So
yeah,
tell us about that. Who's this magical tall person? Which probably just gave it away.
Tall person with a very big head and a loud, deep voice.
Very deep voice. Yes.
Very loud.
Yes.
We were doing a sales event, and we had all of our salespeople there.
This is pre-e-commerce, right?
Yeah, pre-e-commerce. A few thousand people, whatever. And so he was our speaker, and we hired him, and I was the president of the company.
Wow. So
yeah, the only problem though, Kevin, is when you do something like that, they sit you in the front. And anybody that's ever gone to a Tony Robbins event knows.
Oh, you do a lot of jumping around and.
Oh my God! And the camera was always on me, so you have to do what he tells you to do. And normally in something
there's
like
a lot of social pressure there.
Yeah. Oh my God! I'd normally sit in the back, and I like when he yells "stand up," I'm like, oh, all right, I'm doing something else over here.
Say yes.
Yeah. But when the camera's on you and you're in the front row, there's no choice. You got to do it. Ugh. I couldn't wait for it to be over.
That's funny. Because he's definitely different than any other speaker I think one could hire. I mean, I worked in the hotel business, and we had very high up former generals and government officials that were speakers, and famous authors and CEOs, and all these amazing people. But none of them are even in close to a realm like Tony Robbins. Like, he's larger than life, literally and physically. Yeah, physically and just even mentally too. Like, it's just kind of like it's amazing.
The way he prepares for an event is incredible. Like the amount of research he did before our event, it showed me. Yeah, it was really amazing. He wanted to talk to a bunch of people in the industry. He wanted to understand everything. The issues in the industry. He did the research. He didn't just show up. Have you ever heard of Les Brown? Les Brown.
Les Brown.
One of the most famous motivational speakers.
He's magnificent.
Yep. Yeah. And I asked him, do you want to know about the company, the industry, our issues? What do you want to know? He goes, I don't want to know anything. I said, all right, well, I was hiring him. I go, well, can you share what you're going to be talking about, what your PowerPoint looks like? I don't use a PowerPoint. All right, well, what do you do? He goes, I do whatever happens, whatever I feel like when I get on the stage. I feel the room and I go with that. And I'm like, I'm giving this guy $25,000 or $30,000, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh boy, it was fantastic. He was amazing.
He's a great speaker.
Yeah.
But that's interesting because, two very powerful speakers. I love both of them. But they both have very different styles. And so one is just reading the room and Tony is more preparing, which I would thought Tony would be also more kind of in the preparing, like he has his frameworks and he just reads the room and plays loud music.
He does play loud music, but he is focused and he does the research. Rudy Rudiker is another one I hired.
Who's that?
He and I, Rudy from the
Rudy.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Like the actual Rudy. Okay.
He and I became friends afterwards because I also had an entertainment company and I was doing big feature length movies, and he was trying to get a movie done that was eventually done on a boxer called Vinny Pazienza, the Tasmanian Devil.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Cool. So Rudy wanted me to do that movie, but anyway, great guy.
Yeah, that's interesting. Wow,
I heard a bunch.
You met some interesting people along around the times. So, tell us about some situations that you've maybe had to apply some of this knowledge that you've gained from some of these amazing speakers or whatnot, or maybe that you've just done on your own, such as if you're driving down the street or something like that.
You talking about police? So Kevin and I spoke a little bit beforehand, and I was telling him that with Tony Robbins, I'm not the kind of guy that does what I'm told. I do things my way, and it is what it is. And somebody tells me to do it this way, there's no way. I'm going to look at all the options, and I'm going to figure out what I think is the best. And I believe that when people make their own decisions, they make them the right decision. So, there's always, the difference between the right decision and the wrong decision is minuscule. It's up to you to make the decision and then make it the right decision. Don't try to make it the right decision first, because it's minuscule. Just make the decision and then make it the right decision. So, quick story. When one of the things that I believe is that when I get pulled over by a cop, for speeding or whatever, I see it as an opportunity. And, I'm a sales guy. I see it as an opportunity. Like, how do I'm not going to, bow down. I'm going to have some fun. I'm going to see how I can do this. And every time it's different. And, you do have to play the room. You have to read who this is. So a few years back, not that long ago, I got pulled over doing 92 and a 55. Not good. By a state trooper in New York. Not good at all. So he comes up to my window, doesn't even come all the way up to my side window. He's behind me the whole time. He's got the hat on, serious as could be, the short military haircut, the whole picture, license and registration. I said, "Officer, what was I doing?" And he goes, "You're doing 92 and a 55. Where were you speeding to?"
That's not
I'm
good.
like, "Oh man, I'm just heading home from the gym. This guy from work called. I couldn't get him off the phone. I must have been hitting the gas pedal. The guy just kept talking." And so now with that, the cop says to me, "I have a friend just like that." I'm like, "I'm in." So he goes, "I have a friend just like that. Last week, I get out to give this lady a ticket. And by the time I get back to the car, my friend is still talking." So he had him on the cell phone. I go, "That's funny." So now I'm going to take my shot. I go, have you ever heard a state trooper joke? And he goes, "No." and I got to take my shot.
People don't tell me jokes.
Yeah, exactly, right. And he goes, "No." I said, "You up for one?" And he goes, "Okay." So I said, "Well, the state trooper is down in Maryland," and he pulls a guy over and he asks him the same question. "Where were you flying to? Where were you heading to?" And the guy said, "I work at Johns Hopkins. I'm, in the hospital." And he goes, well, I have a lot of friends that work there. What do you do?" He goes, "It's not the technical term, but basically I'm an spreader. So before they go in with the instruments to do the operation, I have to spread the so they can get in there and get the things done." He goes, "Wow." He goes, "Yeah, one time I spread one to 6 feet." And the cop says to him, "What do you do with a 6-foot?" He goes, "You put him on an overpass with a radar gun." The cop bends over laughing, literally bends over laughing. So anyway, he goes back to his car and he asked me license and registration. I go, "Are you kidding me? I just gave you a joke. You're going to still give me a ticket?" He's laughing. He goes, "Please just give me a license and registration." Finally, I give it to him. He comes back and he gives me a ticket. It's a long ticket. I'm like, "Are you kidding me? You're giving me a ticket?" And he's laughing the whole time. And he goes, "Look, I'm giving you a parking ticket." I go, "So you're giving me a parking ticket on the parkway?" And he goes, "Just stop." So anyway, we end up talking a little bit more. And then as we're ready to leave, he says to me, "Hey, do me a favor. Don't speed here anymore." I said, "You do me a favor. Don't park here anymore." True story.
That's funny. That's funny. A parking ticket is a lot better than 92 and a 55.
Yeah, 92 and a 55, you're screwed. It was a $155 parking ticket. And he said to me, "Don't fight it, just pay it." I said, "I'm not going to argue. I'll take that all day long."
Yeah, I can imagine the points and the dollar amount for 92 and a 55.
I think they would just take your license right then and there. I don't know, but
yeah, that might be reckless driving territory depending on the state.
Hey.
Hey, but you were in a hurry. It's all good. It's all good. All right,
so it happens.
Exactly. All right, so tell me a little bit about AccrueMe. Like, what is it you guys do?
All right. Well, it's exciting. It's something that's never been done before. So to put it in perspective, I've done a lot of things in my career, from mortgage, real estate, entertainment, publishing. I started a lot of different companies and built them and sold them and all that kind of stuff. And then I took multiple times off in my career. And this last time, I thought I was actually done. I was actually admitted to my wife that I was retired, and I was out for 5 years. Imagine not going to work for 5 years. You're done. I'm not looking for anything. Well, long story short, old friend of mine taught me or showed me about Amazon and Amazon sellers. And one of the things I'm very passionate about is helping people grow businesses and mentoring young people in particular. I love helping people, and I do it all the time. I do it all day, every day. And I've always done that. So it's nothing that I get paid for. It's just something that I do. I love it. So, it's a great thing. So I looked at this and I heard about Amazon sellers, and I didn't know anything about it. But I immediately that night I went to bed and I was dreaming about this. Is it's silly, but I dreamt about standing on stage and teaching people how to make money selling on Amazon and how to build their businesses better and all of this, because it's, again, what I like. So now he's got my interest. So we looked at the industry. I called 3 people that my accountant gave me. Turns out just one was very small, one was decent size, and one was very large. And they all, at the end, I knew nothing. I didn't know what FBA meant. I didn't know anything. I was just calling them to ask them questions. And I asked them all the same question at the end. What do you need? They all had the exact same answer. We need capital. There's no good source of growth capital in this industry. Interesting. So we did the research on the lending options, and the marketing was so good that I said, how could you ever compete with this? And, it looks fantastic. And then I built a spreadsheet to compare the options. And I called the different companies and asked a couple of questions. And I learned what the options really were, and they were nothing like the marketing. So now I look at this and I said to my partner, I go, these are horrible. These sellers are getting taken advantage of really, really badly. And so there's an opportunity, but I don't want to play in that game with people that are ripping people off. Just bottom line, that's what I felt. And so my partner said, well, why don't we partner with the sellers? What do you mean? I don't know, but let's talk about it. So we came up with this plan. It's never been done before, truly revolutionary. And we did it different than any financing operation ever. So what we'll do is we'll give the seller capital. We'll give them the money that they need to grow their business. We won't charge them any interest, 0 interest, no fees. We don't want anything hidden that somebody's going to say, oh, I know where you're making money. None of that. There's 0 fees. There's 0 interest. There's no, you don't lose any equity. You keep 100% of the company. There's no personal guarantee. This is all, different from everything. And on top of all of that, to really help sellers grow, there's no required monthly payments. And, this is a big gamble to go into this. You can imagine we're taking a major risk, but it's worked out okay. So the way that works is that the sellers are able to use all the money to grow their business, as opposed to paying us every month, which makes no sense at all. Think about it. If you received $100,000, whatever the number is, but you were going to take $20,000 a month out of your business to send to a lender, okay, does that make any sense? Is that good for you, or is that good for the lender? It's good for the lender, obviously, sure. Rhetorically. Yeah. It's a rhetorical question. It's not good. Anytime you're taking money out of your business, it's not good for your business. It's good for whoever you're giving the money to. So you're better off leaving the money in. So that's why we came up with this plan of let the sellers leave the money in, let it accrue. That's where the name came from. So we earn a small percentage of profits, and we set it up so that the seller always wins. Just simple as that. At a high level, I'll give you the details real quick, but a very high level. In a nutshell, the seller earns 100% of the profit on their money. Then they earn 50% of the profit on our money. If they earn no profit, we earn nothing. They owe us nothing. They only owe us the original investment. That's it. I was asked the other day, what if I don't make money for 5 months? What do I owe you? Whatever we invested in you. If we gave you 10 grand, you owe us 10 grand. That's it. Wow. No fee, no nothing, no penalty. No, none of that. What if I lose money? You still owe us the 10 grand.
Okay. So this is interesting. Yeah. And the interesting thing is, like, there's gotten to be a lot of, let's just say, diversity of financial instruments that have kind of come out in the last few years, especially in the Amazon world. So I just want to help kind of answer the questions that I think some of the people who are listening might have. So I know the first one is the asterisk. There's always an asterisk in anything financial. And then there's, this long disclosure, whatever. It is the quote unquote catch.
That you click, I agree, and you never read it.
Right, exactly. So what's the quote unquote catch?
One of my favorite ones was a seller out of Israel, and he very heavy accent. And he said to me, "Where's the star?" I said, "What do you mean, where's the star?" He goes, "What, where's the star?" I don't know what you mean. What do you mean, where's the star? And I'm like, "You mean the asterisk?" He goes, "Yeah, the asterisk." Same question. We don't have one. It is what we did this as if this is what we wanted. All right. If we were the seller, this is what we wanted. We understand finance and everything finance. You're absolutely right. There's always an asterisk somewhere. There's always a catch. All right, I'm going to lend you money at 6%. We know that doesn't make sense. We know that's not the market. Why would you lend me money at 6%? I can't figure it out. Well, I'm going to pay you back a percentage of my revenue every month. Okay. All right. Sounds fair. But what if the revenue percentage comes out to me paying you back in 4 months? So that means I have to refinance in 4 months. And then I refinance again in 8 months. And then I refinance in 12 months. So what did I just do? I just paid 6% 3 times in a year. And what if I pay you back in 3 months? It's not my choice. It's your choice. You're the lender. You're telling me what percentage of my revenue I have to pay every month. It's so bad, but we know you're not paying them 6%. You just don't know how yet. I'm only going to charge 2%. There's a catch there. Come on. We all know there's a catch there. We've seen the deals, but we know the catch. And sadly, we hear about it because people come to us and say, "Look, I got to get out of this deal. How do I get out of this deal with, XYZ? Can you guys give me the money to pay them off because it's killing me? And I can't 100% understand what I'm paying." There are certain deals out there where you'll get a statement, but it's so convoluted and confusing, nobody's going to figure it out. I had a software engineer at one of the biggest firms in the world. Smart guy, numbers guy. And he came to me and he said to me, with this deal, this other company, that when he figured it out, he felt that he figured out the numbers that he was actually paying 50%, 50%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he went through the numbers with me and how they back into this, and they take this out first, then they give you that. And holy cow, it's complicated. So there's an asterisk there somewhere.
Right. There's always
an asterisk. We don't have an asterisk. We don't. No. We don't have an asterisk.
Well, that's good that there's no asterisk there.
There's no prepayment penalty. None of that stuff.
Okay, got it. So regardless of if you do utilize some sort of financial instruments, whether it be traditional or not, make sure you understand the costs and break it down. So let's break down the costs. So you said, we get, if let's say you gave me money and you were just going to take 50% of the profits on that money versus my money, I get 100%. How do we come to how to even calculate that?
That was just high level. Everything is together. So here's the
feel free to backtrack if you need to for context.
I'll give it to you. It's simple, but I like to do that high level first.
Yeah, sure.
Because it puts the picture in place. Like
sure.
Initially, people say, "Well, you're going to earn money on my money." No, you're earning money on our money. That's the way this works. So let's say you have 100,000, and we give you $100,000. All right.
Okay. Is that 100,000 in my bank?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have $100,000 of, inventory and receivables from Amazon, all total.
Oh, okay.
Comes to 100,000.
Okay.
So your business, you've invested $100,000 in your business over time. We give you 100,000. So now we're 50-50 partners. Okay. We're investing in your business, but we're not owning any of your business. So we're 50%. Whatever percentage we represent, cut it in half. So that would be 25%. We would get 25% of that profit for that month. So let's give you some numbers. Imagine you just keep it simple. You're earning 10% per month. So on your 100,000, you're going to earn 10,000. On ours, you're going to earn another 10,000. Okay. 10% on 100,000, 10% on 100,000. So you got $10,000 and $10,000 of profit. You follow me?
Yep.
Okay. So you're going to keep that full $10,000, and you're going to get half of what you produced with our money. So you're going to get 5,000. So you got 15,000. We got 5. So 75, 25. If we were 10% of the capital, so you had 90,000 and we gave you 10,000, we would get 5% of the of the profit for that month. And it works out exactly the same. So we gave you 10,000, you're going to earn 100% on your 90,000, and you're going to earn 50% on the 10,000 that we gave you.
Got it. Okay. So that part makes sense. How are you?
There we go.
Okay. I get that. So now let's walk through the nuts and bolts. So do you send them an invoice and say, this is what we calculated, and how do you calculate profit? Because I could see how that might be different. People may have different calculations with
not really. Very, very simple, because, Amazon makes it easy for all of us. So we're calculating the profit as the gross profit. So it's your revenue less your cost of goods sold. Less all the Amazon fees, including PPC.
Including PPC.
Yes.
Okay.
So whatever that number is, and you have the number, and we have a system that details every single cost, right down to the penny, that you see every single day. You can dig into it. You can go back and look at the previous day. You can go back and look at 4 months ago on this day, whatever it is, and see exactly what was sold and what your costs were. And you see it all the time. So it's not difficult. So if you have a car lease, or, you hire VA, we're not covering that cost.
Got it. Okay. Now, what about if you have, or let's get back to cost of goods sold. How are you calculating cost of goods sold? If you have a prep center who's labeling goods and things of that nature, is that part of this, or is it purely the factory's invoice or your supplier invoice?
It's both. So we get your supplier or your factory invoice. We know what the numbers are, the shipping cost and all that. We know all those numbers. You gave them to us. We confirm them every once in a while just to make sure everybody's being honest. But you could see pretty, once you do it once, it's pretty regular. It's
right. It doesn't
dramatically
change that
not
much.
Dramatic.
Well, I guess
it changes.
Shipping might.
Right now it sure is going to be. But it does change, but it's not dramatic typically. And then packaging, or a third party, a 3PL, we cover that cost. We don't look at inventory that's in your own warehouse because we can't control that. But if it's in a 3PL, we have a contract with the 3PL that says, we're a party to this transaction. And so they honor us. They're not allowed to take all the inventory and send it to, somewhere else.
Got it. So how does that work if someone had, let's say 20% of their sales are coming from their Shopify store? Is that factored into this, or is this purely Amazon?
Yeah, it's purely Amazon. And if they have inventory and some of it, let's say 20% of it's going to Shopify, we just don't count that. So we don't count that inventory. We don't see their profits over there. We don't count them. We don't do anything with that.
Got it. So if they had it in the 3PL, they're almost like taking it out of inventory when they make a sale to send to the Shopify customer?
Yeah. So it's segregated.
Okay.
It's not difficult to do.
Got it.
The 3PLs do it all the time.
Okay. And then other marketplaces, let's say Etsy or eBay or Walmart.
It would be the same thing right now. We're only doing Amazon.com now, but we work with sellers all over the world.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it doesn't matter where the seller is. They could be in Canada, the UK, Australia, India, wherever they are.
Okay.
But we only will provide them capital on the Amazon.com business right now. We're adding Canada, we're adding Mexico, and then we'll add all the others from there. But
got it. So it's purely Amazon.com. So if they have sales happening in the UK and Canada, that doesn't affect. Okay, so that doesn't affect their inventory with you or their sales with you.
Correct. Or their profit. They keep 100%. They keep 100% of that.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we set it up so that, you know, literally think of this model. You know, if you earn 100% on your money and 50% on our money, you can't lose. You can only win. You know, the only way you can lose, which is the same with everybody, is if you take our money and just leave it in the bank. Then you're paying for something that makes no sense. It's the same thing with any of the lenders out there that are requiring you to make monthly payments. If you think about it, let's say you're making a $10,000 payment and your monthly ROI is 10%. Okay. Just to keep it simple. You're taking $10,000 out of your business to send it to a lender. You're not just taking $10,000 out of your business. You also just removed $1,000 of profit.
I see what you're saying.
You would have earned $1,000 on that 10,000, right? But now you just took that 10,000 out. So you just eliminated $1,000 of profit today and going forward.
Okay.
For as long as you can think. And the next month you take another 10,000. So now you're losing another $1,000 of profit. So now you're up to $2,000 you're losing in profit that if you kept that money in, you would have made.
Got it. Well, let's walk through a couple scenarios here. So
sure.
I before being in the e-commerce world, I was in the insurance world, and
I feel sorry for you.
I know. I was more in the health insurance world, kind of training and recruiting agents, and a lot of agents had, you know, basically what we'd call health and life license, so they could do health insurance and life insurance.
I had it too.
Okay, got it. So you're familiar. And
there's a financial planning company early on.
Okay, got it. So you're probably familiar with where I'm going to go with this question. I'm not the expert. You probably even know more about what I'm about to ask.
I haven't touched it.
Give context here, but there are certain life insurance policies that sales agents would get really excited about because they paid really high commissions, and some of it was like, oh, okay, so you're not going to lose money if the stock market goes down, but if it goes up, you know, you can get up to a certain amount. And some of these were I've taken continuing education credits on it because I was kind of curious, and I still don't understand them enough. And one of the things that people would explain to me who weren't really excited about selling them was that if interest rates went, I forget if it up or down, I should probably know this, but depending on where interest rates swung, people could lose their shirt potentially owning them. Are there any scenarios, like, for example, if you have growth, this sounds great, but what if all of a sudden your sales decline because now all of a sudden you have a bunch of, you know, competitors, or Amazon takes down the listing because they think it's a pesticide, but it's a book or something crazy,
or you got suspended,
or you got suspended,
or COVID happens, and
so
Amazon
you know there's things that come up,
or Amazon doesn't allow you to send your products in because COVID happened,
right?
You know, like what happened? How about books?
Or there's a war somewhere,
that will never happen.
Crazy world.
So, you know, or you're a bookseller with 37,000 SKUs, and then Amazon says you're limited to 200 SKUs or ACEs.
Right. Yeah. Or something crazy, or you can't send in as much as you thought you could.
This wonderful young girl who was a client of ours with 37,000 SKUs or ACEs. All right. And then Amazon changed the rules literally the next month.
Oh, wow.
She starts with us, took a good chunk of money out, and she's going to grow like wildfire. She's still in college. Terrific person. I think the world.
She's got a lot of initiative. I wish I had done some of this stuff when I was in college.
I love to see it. I just love to see it. But then literally we start and she's not going to make any money. What do you do? So what does she owe us? So what we did was we talked, and she came to us, and we said, yeah, we see this is what's happening, and are there any ways around this? Is there any ways that you can change this? And we couldn't come up with anything. So after a little bit, we had to say, look, we're going to have to take our money out. And what we did was, and she understood totally, but you can't really just go in and take the money out in one day. You could crush somebody.
Right.
So what we did was we said, all right, here's what we'd like to do is take it out in chunks over 3 months. How's that work?
Okay.
And she said, yes. So we earned zero money. All right. We made a big investment. We earned zero money. We ended up recovering our capital, but we made nothing. There were no profits. So we made nothing. We don't charge any fees, and there's no penalties.
Okay. Interesting.
How about when COVID happened? We had a number of specifically private label clients that were doing great. And next month, they go from doing great to breaking even, and the next month losing money. Mm-hmm. And for 3 months or so, they lost money in a row. And, each of them, we called them and said, look, and they didn't want to get this phone call, they're like,
oh, let that go to voicemail.
Yeah, exactly. So, we just called them to say, look, we understand what's going on. We're a partner of yours. We're making no money, just like you're making no money. And we just want you to be comfortable and understand that we're with you. And if there's anything you need, let us know. And I'll never forget this one call, because I made this one call. And the guy said to me, so Don, you're not forcing me to make payments or anything right now. I said, no. And that's not the deal. And he said, now, when he came on board with us, he came out of an Amazon loan. And his monthly payment was just under $9,000. Mm-hmm. And he said to me, this is amazing. If I had to make a monthly payment right now, like he had with Amazon, he said, I literally would be out of business, because he had his own warehouse. He had a lot of other costs. And he goes, I would literally be out of business. I would have, no way to look at this. I would be done. And you guys are going to hang in there with me? We did. And it was either 3 or 4 months later, all of a sudden he had a little profit. And they all did. They all turned around, had a little profit, then a bigger profit, then a little bit bigger profit. Mm-hmm. It took a long time before they got back to where they were. But that's the way we handle that.
Interesting.
Right?
So walk me through the logistics of, are they cutting you a check every month, or does the money come to AccrueMe and then you give them basically their portion?
Yeah. So the money comes through the bank account that we open up with them in the business name. Okay. We control the account. So the money comes in. We don't do anything with it. It just sits there until they determine. They can go into our system and see, okay, I just got $28,000 in from Amazon. They know exactly when it's coming and when it's going to be there and when it's there. They see the money come in. Now they determine what to do. They can just go into the system and say, wire money, wire $18,000 to this supplier, wire money to this 3PL, whatever, or wire money to my personal business account, because I need to take money out to do whatever I need to do. We don't ask them what they're doing with the money. It's none of our business.
Okay.
It's, all we care about is controlling it. So if they take money out of the business, their capital account just came down. They take 1,000 out, their capital just came down 1,000. So they have. Okay. I see the look on your face. So
I'm trying to do the math right now.
So it's very, very simple. They have inventory at cost.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that inventory at cost is, call it $90,000. Okay. Now they have a receivable from Amazon, and that's $5,000. All right.
Okay.
So now their total capital so far is $95,000, and they have $5,000 sitting in the bank, ready to go wherever they want it to go. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
3 sources. It's the inventory, the receivable, and cash.
Got it. And then it's the receivable of what the next Amazon disbursement.
Yeah, whatever is due from Amazon. The total amount, something X, 1 unit sold today, it now goes from being inventory to being a receivable.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, so you add those up, it came to $100,000. That's what their capital is. That's how much they have invested in their business.
Got it. So if they give their supplier $20,000, their capital...
They still have $100,000, because it went from this account to their supplier. If they took the $20,000 out to go on a vacation, now their capital is $80,000 because it's not in the business anymore.
Got it. So you're considering basically, like, I think my bookkeeper, especially at the end of the year, will make it like a advance to the supplier. So basically, when it's just moving to the supplier, that's still within the ecosystem, if I'm understanding.
Within the ecosystem, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was some of the confused look on my face for people that are listening to the audio version.
I thought it was just the Kevin. I thought it was the Kevin Spacey look. You know, you're trying. I think that was a Kevin Spacey laugh. Actually, you're scaring me, man.
So we were talking before we hit the record button that over the years I've been told I look like Kevin Spacey. That was more of a compliment 3 years ago or earlier, and nowadays it's kind of like I try to distance myself from that. But
do you find people walking away from you at the food store?
Like, are you that guy? Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, it's yeah. So anyway, we've all probably been told we look like some celebrity at some point, and that can be good or can be bad. I'm trying to think of like. There's some like famous names somewhere. I saw something like people had like famous names, and then like all of a sudden it became not a good thing to have like that last name anymore, even if they weren't even related to the person.
Well, an interesting one is a restaurant in France, and it's a standard name, and I'm not going to be able to say it right, but it's like Moulin La Poutin.
Okay,
and so since the last part of the name sounded like Putin. Their bookings are down 60%.
Oh my gosh!
Exactly.
Oh wow! Yeah, that would be a little rough.
Crazy.
So okay. Well, let's kind of wrap this up. So everyone has the dream of one day selling their business. So if they were to sell their business, walk through like what does the logistics of that look like? Is that profit when they go to sell their business, or are they paying you back? Like how does that work? If they still have money in there.
So our biggest source of leads is from the aggregators.
Okay.
And it's the reason for it is the aggregators want to do deals, right? But a lot of times sellers come and they're just not ready for that sale. Right. They're not ready for that exit. Maybe they're not big enough. Maybe there's another issue. They they have too much offline versus online, not enough Amazon, or it depends on the aggregator. They all have
what they're looking for.
Yeah. So they send them to us. So what happens? A seller, let's say he's making $200,000 net right now for the year. And I'm going to use a big number. Let's say 5 times. He's going to get a 5 times multiple. So $1 million he's going to get. All right. Take all the details out of it. Just very high level. You're going to get $1 million. Now that seller comes to us and says, hey, I need money to grow. I don't want $1 million. I want 5 million or 7 million or 10 million. Can you help me get there? So we give them the money to grow the hell out of their business for the next year, 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, if they want. They don't make any payments unless they want to. When they're flush with cash, it makes sense to make payments, but otherwise it makes no sense. So they grow and grow and grow. And now they have a business with a net profit of $1 million. And they're not getting a 5 times multiple. They're getting a 7 times multiple because they're much bigger. So now instead of getting $1 million, they're getting 7 million. It's life-changing. So now what happens? They didn't pay us anything. Well, we invested whatever amount in them, and we earned a bit of profit along the way. So now when they sell, they give us our initial investment plus our accrued profits. So just think of it this way. Let's say we gave you $100,000, and our portion of the profit next month is $1,000. And you tell us to leave it in the business, which just about everybody does.
Okay.
Now, in the second month, it's as if we just invested $101,000. So a new investment, $101,000, not 100, but it's 101. So if you were to pay us off that day, you'd owe us 101,000.
Walk me through that again.
Yeah. So our portion of the profit is $1,000.
Got it.
So we started by giving you 100,000. Then the next month you earned, 20,000, we earned 1,000, whatever the numbers are. And that $1,000, we didn't take it out.
So, okay, that was one of my questions from earlier. And I'm glad you brought that back up, because so they're not making ongoing payments on the profit. It can just stay in there.
No profits. They're making no payments. So now that 100,000 that we gave you initially, plus the $1,000 that we earned, stays in the business. And now in month 2 or month 3, it's as if we put in 101,000. So if you were to pay us off right then and there, you'd owe us 101,000. And go out 2 years from now, and your business is no longer, doing $200,000 in net profit. It's doing $1 million in net profit. So now you're a $7 million business or a $3 million business, whatever it might be. Well, we might have started at $100,000 and have gone up to $150,000. But you went from $1 million to $5 million, or 200,000 to $1 million. We become a small piece of a very big pie. That's the way it works in almost every single case. Our sellers, I'm going to say 90 to 95% of our sellers grow like wildfire. And once they get in the system, once they get comfortable, and it takes a month or two to really understand everything and get comfortable. But there's no secrets. It's just, then there's no tricks, or there's no nothing. It's just getting comfortable. It's different from anything else.
Yeah.
Once they get comfortable, then they take it like the bull by the horns, and they say, holy, I can grow this business. I have so many opportunities. Why would you send me money, me as a lender, money, if you have an opportunity to grow? Makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. So this one guy, I met him at one of the conferences in, I think, Miami a couple months ago at the end of last year. And I never met him, but I spoke to him over the phone when he first joined us. And he wanted to reach out and find me, which was great. It was fantastic. And wonderful guy. And here's the story he told me. I didn't know. He said, Don, my first year in business, I had $142,000 in profit. My second year, I had $144,000 in profit. Because I was going nowhere. And then I learned about AccrueMe, and I spoke to you guys. He said, truthfully, it's so different. I was a little cautious. I was a little concerned, but I decided to try, and I jumped in. And then I went from $144,000 of profit to over $400,000 of profit. Then the next year, over $700,000 of profit. And he said, this year, I'm going to be well over $1 million.
Oh, wow.
And it's all, and he literally said, never could have done it without you. Never, ever, ever could have done it without you. Because we left all the money in. He's killing it, but he's just one of many. I can tell you so many stories like this. This one guy, he went from, in just a little over a year, he went from $2,000 a month in profit to over $40,000 a month in profit. Think of that. That's life-changing.
Yeah,
it's life-changing. Okay. And the reason I know his story is because he just came back to us. So it popped up on my screen. He just came back to us to take out an additional, I don't remember the number, 30 or 40,000, because he's doing so well. So he's adding wholesale to his business now. And we introduced him to a great supplier, and he's going to build the business on another prong. So he's not just going to have private label. He's got a little bit of arbitrage, and now wholesale he's adding. Fantastic.
Interesting. So brought me up to another question here. So as the money grows, and so you used the example of 100,000 to 101,000. This guy went from 144,000 to over $1 million. Over time, there's a lot more profit coming in. And so if that profit is accruing, your AccrueMe's percentage or AccrueMe's calculation of the 50% is going up too, right? Or is it just the original?
No, this is an unbelievable part of this. This is fantastic. Our profit percentage, if you just take that out, it goes down. We become a small piece of a big pie. So just take it simple. I'm going to make it very, very simple. Let's say $100,000. You have 100,000. We give you 100,000.
Yeah.
Right. So we represent 25% of the profit. You're 75% of the profit. Right. Okay. Now, month 2, let's just say, I'm going to keep it simple. Let's say you earned, let's say you earned $20,000.
Okay.
Okay. Because you have $200,000.
Right. So we each were half of the profits coming in.
Right. So you earned $10,000 on your money and $10,000 on our money. So you got $15,000 of that.
Right. And then there's now,
and I
would owe you 105.
Right.
So in the calculation.
But now how much capital do you have in the business? You have 115.
Okay.
We have 105. So it's not 50-50 anymore.
Right. So my point is it's based on 100. Oh, okay. I see
you grow faster than we do in all cases. So now instead of it being 50-50, it might be 52-48. And then the next month it might be 54-46, and we keep earning less percentage to the point where we go down to almost nothing. But your business grows astronomical. So on our website, there's a calculator. And it's so simple to do. You put in your expected ROI and you put in how much you have and how much you would want us to put in, all that kind of stuff, and how much you want to take out for yourself every month, if anything. And if you look at it, the last graph that it shows is the profit participation. And it's the same in all cases. Our profit participation, our piece of the profits goes down considerably every single month. Yours goes up. And as the company gets bigger, we get a smaller and smaller and smaller piece. It's just the way the math works. Tell me that's not fantastic. That's unbelievable. Nobody, when we first did it, we were blown away. It's fantastic.
So the people just got to make sure that, like, they're, in this case, if you're taking money out of the business, maybe that money needs to come from elsewhere. Like if you're selling internationally or on Walmart or Shopify, because the more you can keep in this ecosystem, the better off it is. Am I understanding this correctly?
Yeah, but it's really not that big of a deal, to be honest with you. It really is not that big of a deal. So if you think about it, all right, let's say you're doing Walmart and Shopify separately, right? And now you have cash in the bank. Yes, you could put that cash into the bank by us, which is fine with us as well. And that increases your capital in the business and lowers ours. It's fine. It's no big deal. But, in reality, that's not the way that life really happens normally. What normally happens is you look at the Amazon business, you're growing, you're not overpaying, you're not taking money out, we're not taking money out. You might take a little out, but, you're looking to grow. And a lot of sellers have a full-time job or a part-time job that they pay their bills with. So they're not taking any money out of their business. Another great guy I just spoke to, who's very well known in the industry, who's working with us now. He pays all his bills on his own, and so all of his profits stay in the business. And he had $70 some odd thousand of credit card debt. And I'm like, that's stressful. He goes, yeah, it really is. So I'm going to tell you something. And again, I can never say the name. But this is something that is just reality for all entrepreneurs and all business owners. Does your spouse know about the debt you have in the business? And in almost every case, the answer is no, because it's too stressful. Your spouse, man or woman, doesn't matter. You try not to put that on them. So you go to bed every night with that stress on your head, where we're not debt. We're not, we are just an investment in your business that is backed by the business. It's supported by your inventory. It makes sense, but there's no interest that's growing every day. There's no payments that are coming out. The harder you want to work, the bigger you can get.
Interesting. Well, I would definitely recommend folks check out your website to learn more. Where would they go?
AccrueMe.com. And they can also check me out on LinkedIn. It's my full name, Donald, as my mother would call me for dinner. Henig, Henig, just one N, Henig. And I think they'll be interested to see my background as well, because I've done a lot of different things, and they'll get a feel for where it's all coming from. And again, I came out of retirement because this opportunity is too big. It's too much fun to help people. and create something that's never been done before.
Awesome.
I do believe that this is the way finance will be done long term, because it just makes sense. It's good for everybody.
Yeah, no. This is fascinating, and you definitely got my mind curious about all this. I haven't spent a lot of time digging into it, other than you and I had chatted a little bit before. So what I would recommend folks do, and it sounds like this would, from what you're saying, this could be tested by, you create spreadsheet with scenario A, scenario B, without AccrueMe, using more traditional finance.
If you could figure out
the
other ones,
so
which they will not be able to do. I'm just telling you that. But we have done it ourselves. And I will tell you the surprising thing, because we hired some statistical, geniuses from Columbia University, and we had them do all of that. And we did it, week by week. How would the seller do in all these different scenarios after researching our competitors? And what we found was, by far, from a growth standpoint, the sellers do best with us. Surprising, the number 2 spot was Amazon lending. We were very surprised by that. Yeah, we were very surprised by that. But they came in second. Everybody else was way behind that.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. So, well, we'll have links down below or in the show notes, depending on if someone's listening to the audio version of the podcast or watching this on YouTube, to AccrueMe.com, as well as to your LinkedIn profile. I definitely recommend folks check it out and at least learn more. And like anything with finances, just make sure you understand what you're getting yourself into. But this was definitely a interesting conversation.
That's good.
Yes. So yeah, it's just, and I hate to sound like I'm being skeptical, but more than anything is I want to make sure I understand.
It's different.
What this is. It is very different.
And being different is not bad. Being different is good, especially in the world of finance, because in finance, people are getting screwed every single day. They just don't know it.
Right.
And so we set this up so that that's not the case. There is no asterisks. There is no bull. There's none of that stuff. Excuse me, but I probably just got
we'll bleep it out. It's okay.
But there is none of that. It's just, this is the best thing that there is that I've ever seen from a finance standpoint. And same thing, everybody on Wall Street says the same thing to us. Put it this way: the first, you ever hear the story of 242?
No.
You know what 242 is? You know Howard Schultz from Starbucks?
Yeah.
He went and made 242 pitches to VCs before anybody would put money into Starbucks. You know how many we made?
How many?
1. Yeah. People are blown away. But the big question was, and most of them still ask us the same question, will anybody ever pay you? And it's in their best interest to pay us when when their business is flush with cash. If they're slow for a few months, which most businesses are, they have cash in the bank. It's stupid to leave it in the bank. Pay us down.
Yeah, especially like after the holidays or something like that. I could see.
In March, typically, all the returns and everything has happened, and they're flush with cash. But sometimes, and I'm not going to say sometimes, fairly often, these sellers that are flush with cash are finding new opportunities, and they're growing by leaps and bounds.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on the show and
chatting
through this. I can definitely tell a lot of passion in your voice for what you do. So
good.
This was a good conversation.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thanks, Don.
All right. Thanks, Kev.